Happy Friday night, everybody! Welcome to the MLS Watchalong show for MLS. Man, I'm locked in. USMNT, Grenada, Shalrie Joseph, Charlie Davies. I am Andrew Wiebe. The fireworks are going off in Austin. We've got a lineup from Greg Berhalter with 4 new starters from this window. Paul Arriola in, Jordan Morris in, Cameron Carter-Vickers gets the start at center back, and Kellen Acosta is the 6 in what we think will be a double pivot, kind of imitating what we've seen so far. Thank you for tuning in. Twitch, YouTube Live. We're doing these for every single one of the USMNT and Canadian national team games through the World Cup for however long that World Cup run goes. And there's no man we would rather have here than Shalrie Joseph, the former manager of Grenada, the legend from St. George. What's up, Shalrie, man? How's this game feel for you? Excited for this? You jacked up? What's the emotions pumping through you right now?
All different kind of emotions because of my loyalty to my country from where I was born, and then just being a U.S. citizen and living here for so long. I feel like I'm torn between two different hearts, but I'm excited to see how Grenada have progressed in the last year and a half, and I'm excited to see what Greg Berhalter is doing with this lineup and how he has developed these players into elite players. So I'm very excited to see the game as it goes along.
So we've got the lineup here, Charlie, for Greg Berhalter. What do you think? We talked through on Extra Time the other day. Unfortunately, without you, traffic's a B, man.
You got that
tough.
right.
What do you think of these changes? The opportunities given to Jordan Morris, to Arriola, and then of course to De La Torre and Carter Vickers, but also the opportunity given to Jesus Ferreira to stick with him as the 9 in this match at home. And by the way, Greg Berhalter talked to Ben Olsen and Taylor Twellman and John Champion before this game on the field on the ESPN Plus broadcast. You can watch this on ESPN Plus, Unimas, and I believe 2DN in the U.S. This is just a watch-along. We'll be watching it with you. He said that Haji and Horvath will get starts against El Salvador, that they had a plan. They were saving them for that match. Do you like the 11 that's out?
I do. I mean, no disrespect to Grenada, but this is a side that should go and get a result. Jesus Ferreira, this is more of a show of faith. You played 3 straight games. A lot of people are after him for his lack of production in the final third, because at the end of the day, you're a striker judged on your goals and your assists. We haven't really seen that from Jesus Ferreira. So this is a game where he's expected to show what he can do. That I would assume Grenada is going to drop in a low block. So how does that look when he drops in and he combines? Because there's not going to be space in behind. So they're going to need him to be one of the focal points. And Jordan Morris and Paul Arriola, they're very north and south. If there's no room in behind, they also have to be creative. I'm interested to see how the attack looks in this game.
How do you think Grenada approaches this one, Shalrie? You've been a part of Nations League in the inaugural campaign for Grenada. You've managed this team. You've managed a lot of these players. How do you think Grenada sets up for this match? What does it mean to them?
I think it just being there, it's a huge honor just playing in the Nation League and having to face an opponent like the US. I think everyone's just ecstatic and happy about facing the US period. But I think they'll be in, as Chuck mentioned, as Charlie mentioned, they'll most likely be in a low block and just try to hit them on the counter attack and win the game, try to hang on for a little bit, at least 60, 70 minutes. And the last 20, 30 minutes, they can keep it at 0. Then they'll try to open up and try to go for some kind of win or try to find a goal late into the game. But right now, I would think just trying to have a good defensive shape and keeping 10 to 9 players behind the ball constantly and making it hard on the U.S. to score.
Got a 4-2-3-1 according to the Grenada FA. They put this out on Twitter. We're copying what they did. I know that ESPN Plus had like a 3-4-3 that they ran out there. Who are the danger men here? Like, tell us who we need to know, Shalrie, off of this lineup for Michael Finley.
For me, the most influential player, I think, is Aquan Berkeley. I think he's such a dynamic, such a great player on the ball, especially offensively. He can create space, he can create separation, and he can create stuff out of nothing. And then in the back, I think Patterson, if he can stalwart that defense and keep it zeros and limit the opportunities and limit the chance for Jesus and Morris and McKennie in the middle, I think they can make it really tough and make it really hard on the U.S. team to get any chance.
All right, we are about to kick off here in Austin. I know those of you watching on ESPN Plus, I've got it up. It did just kick off, but we're watching on 2DN together, so I'll cue you guys. for when this thing kicks off. Charlie, I don't know where your stream starts. Remember, if you're watching here, you're like, okay, the game's about to start, guys. Where's the game? The game is on ESPN Plus. The game's on Tutti, and the game is on Unimas. So go check it out there. Austin hosting once again. Just waiting for this kickoff. Charlie, who are you watching from these 4 new guys the closest as we wait? And I'll flag you once it goes off. Paul Arriola, Jordan Morris, CCV, and Acosta. Who has the biggest opportunity here? Because that's what it's all about. We have 164 days until Wales in Qatar. It's about earning your way onto a roster, whether it's 23 or 26 man, and Roth. There's the kickoff, just as a cue for our folks in the back room. U.S. Grenada kicked off in Austin right now.
The player with the most to gain is Cameron Carter-Vickers. We all know the standard that Paul Arriola has. He's in great form in Major League Soccer. Jordan Morris, we still know he needs to catch up in terms of match fitness and sharpness. But Cameron Carter-Vickers is still a little bit of an unknown within this back line and his relationship. Obviously, he's not playing next to Walker Zimmerman, but him and Aaron Long, they have to dictate the tempo in terms of center backs with a low block. They have to kind of come into midfield with the ball at their feet. We haven't seen what Cameron Carter-Vickers looks like with his distribution. So if he has a strong game, playing out of the back, good touches, reading the game well, I think this is one game that can kind of accelerate his status within the team.
Looks a little bit like off the jump, the U.S. I don't think Grenada is going to have a ton of possession here, and that's not the game plan I would assume. But here in the first minute, I mean, you see Ferreira on dead sprint to pressure the goalkeeper. They're not going to let him have any moments of sort of calm in the back. Shalrie, if you were playing in this game, if you were preparing for this game, what would you expect Greg Berhalter to do, and what would you tell your guys to expect?
High press. I think he has to turn it into the game where they dominate possession and they limit Grenada opportunity in possessing the ball. So from the jump, I would try to high press Grenada, making sure that they go direct, and which Grenada is suited to do, especially with the athletes they have on the field. And then once you do that, then you got to pick up second ball, win the head balls, pick up the second balls, and then just keep sustaining your attack as Greg Berhalter would encourage his team to do, or encourage his players to just keep sustaining attack. Make sure you're picking up second ball and just keep on the front foot, because Grenada is vulnerable, especially if you get an early goal. It can open up a can and whoop ass if you get that first one on them.
Hey, why? I mean, I saw the results. I went back and looked back at the results from Nations League qualifying. You guys you're right. There's a breaking point, right? Like Curacao goes 10-0, and then you just lose by 2 to Cuba. It's like there seemed to be a breaking point for Grenada where it was like, this one's over. This one's over. Let it go. Is that about right?
No, not with me. There was never a breaking point. That 10-0 was against me when I was coaching. I went down there with this big head, like thinking like I had all these players that can play the style of soccer that I wanted them to play. And I had to get a first-class education, especially in my first 3 games. It was Curacao, Cuba, I think, and then Jamaica losing 5-2. We lost 10-0. And even when I got 4, I was still trying to get 1. And when we got 5, I was like, all right, we'll get 1. Make it 5-1. Even when I got 6, I was still trying to be aggressive as a coach, and that was just my mentality being a coach and not understanding the players that I had. Especially it was my first couple of months there. So once I understand how those players can defend and attack, it was just trying to fine tune them and then start teaching the tactics of the game, which a lot of the Caribbean players and Grenada, to speak for Grenada, they don't really understand that part of the game, the X's and O's. It's just unbelievable athletes that I was coaching, and then I just had to fine tune them in terms of how we attack and how we defend and work on shape and little things like that. And then we started getting our results once we understand what we were capable of.
What'd you think of that build up there, Charlie? For those watching at home, Paul Arriola gets slipped in behind by, it looked like Hugo de la Torre. Nice cross, just maybe 8 inches too high, 1.5 too high for Jordan Morris, popped up the header, but got into a ton of space and what I think Greg Berhalter would call an ideal sort of crossing position. You might call that the Man City position right there.
It was nice. Just the last bit of execution on the service, and Jordan Morris, he had his hand up. He was ready for that, and he anticipated it coming in front of the defender. But like you said, it's just a little too high. but it's a good sign. It's early in the game, trying to connect passes. The weather is going to play, I think a little bit in terms of these guys have to give 45 minutes. I think
it was
there's
only
gonna be
103 today, Charlie. It was
I
only
think there's gonna be-
103.
Wow.
there's going to be some halftime substitutions. I think for some players, it's you give it your all in these 45 minutes. Play with max intensity for 45 minutes, and then they're going to make some changes.
Ooh, you think they'll sub at the half, huh?
Yes.
Oh.
Do you think, Charlie, that they'll send guys home after this one? We were speculating on extra time that there could be a possibility that you send like a Christian home early, like a Weston who just returned, or do you think for Greg in this group, like you only have really one chance after this in Europe with 2 games to be together? Do you take those guys down to El Salvador even if you don't plan on playing them?
I could see it go both ways. You also don't want to send the wrong message to the group saying, we're done. We have an official game. Nations League is still an official game that matters. You don't send people home when you still got an official game. So, I would say they all play, because why would you keep them and not play them in a games that matter, especially on the road, which El Salvador is a good opponent. They're in the final round of qualifying. So I could see them playing and not letting them leave, because I don't think that would sit well with the rest of the guys.
And maybe that's an opportunity. He says he's going to start Haji. Maybe that's an opportunity to see Haji with Weah, with Pulisic. If you're gonna put him forward as a real option, it seems, I know he just got in, but it seems sort of counterproductive to not give him a chance. And if he does get his chance, to not do it with guys that he could potentially be playing with. You'd think in these 2 friendlies, obviously in Europe, but more importantly in the World Cup. Shalrie, what have you seen from the U.S. in qualifying and in this window so far? What do you think of the team Greg Burrell has put together?
I like it. I think I love giving other young players the opportunity to shine and to be showcased. I think he's been very fair in terms of calling in a lot of younger players, and I think that's the way the U.S. has to be going forward, especially with not just this World Cup, but with the 2026 World Cup ahead. They got to think about that too, that bringing in all these players and giving them the opportunity to shine. Yeah, I like it. I really love what Greg is doing, the way he's trying to develop the guys, and the way he's trying to play the game. It's impressive. I think it's beautiful the way he's trying to get the U.S. to play attacking, beautiful attacking soccer. My biggest concern is the 9 position. That'll be my biggest concern for them, if they can find something. I don't believe Ferrer is the answer when I look at it personally, but hopefully they can find something.
I need to hear you explain that. I mean, it's not that I don't know if there is an answer, but I want to know why Ferreira for you is not the answer right now.
I just don't think that element for the 9 position. I know the game has changed and it's still evolving, but for him to be that 9, that withdrawn 9, that false 9, I think there has to be more to that position. And for him, I don't think he's, not to disrespect him or anything, I just think there has to be something more from that position. And I don't think he brings it. He's not scoring goals. He's not creating opportunities. And he's helping them to link up play here and there because he drops in a little bit deeper. But I just don't see it working with the better teams. It'll work in CONCACAF. It'll work against Grenada and lower level competition. But I can't see it working against England. And I just can't see it working in the World Cup with that style.
The presence. Charlie? Yeah. Shalrie's spot on. We see the game very, very much alike. You look at the number 9 position for the U.S. men's national team. If you're not scoring, which you're supposed to be scoring, I'm talking about an absolute beast who's going to occupy 2 center backs, who can hold up the ball in the air, not just to his feet, so you can be able to cushion it, make great runs into space. All the other things, and yes, there are some positives in Jesus Ferreira's game, but I don't want to rule him out. But right now, if the World Cup were today, that would not be a good thing for the U.S. They that's a position that the U.S. still have to figure out, come 6 months from now. And you're hoping he grows and develops and can do all those things in MLS. But ultimately, I'm with Shalrie against in England. That's not going to get it done.
Do we have that player? I think that's the bigger question, right? Like
we don't know, and neither does Greg Berhalter. I don't think. If I were Greg, I would say I don't know yet. I won't know until the World Cup camp, which is scary, but that's the reality of where we are.
So we have a question here from Luke Rinnerneck on YouTube. What's up, Luke? Should we be looking for an Ariola Ferreira connection from all their training together in Dallas, or do club connections not necessarily translate to the national team? I was talking to Shalrie about this earlier. If you go back and look at the games Ferreira has scored and the games where he's been the most productive, assist-wise, goals, in that, both scoring but also creating direct opportunities for teammates, it's been in USMNT friendlies with Paul Ariola on the field next to him. Trinidad and Tobago. Yeah, those two just and I remember a year and a half, 2 years ago when they had the long January camp that TNT game was at the end of, trickling out of there. Hey, Ariola and Ferreira just look good together, and you understand why Nico Estevez in Dallas was like, okay, well, let's spend $2 million, let's set a record in allocation money to trade for this guy, and then prime winger, and so far Ariola has really proven that that's been a smart decision by Dallas. But I don't see how it couldn't matter, the chemistry between those two guys.
And to answer that question, you just know the tendencies. You know where they like to pop up, and you have that relationship. So it's always going to translate well with the national team because you both want to play for each other, and you know how each other likes the ball and where where you can find them. And they've already struck up an incredible partnership this season with FC Dallas, and the season's still young.
What do you think of? He's ahead. He's ahead. This is typical Charlie.
What minute? Where are you at?
I'm at 11:34.
Oh, jeez.
We're gonna have nothing. Just, hey, it's okay to have a spoiler. Can we just say so far? I see a tweet out there. Luca De La Torre out here looking like God level Messi against Grenada. I mean, he is
already.
He is.
He can
push the ball forward at his feet, man. Yeah, he can push the ball forward at his feet. Like he is difficult to deal with.
I wouldn't say Messi yet. Messi would have scored those. Messi would have finished already, so I wouldn't go there.
This is an anonymous tweet that I'm pulling up. There's Ferreira with the shot, a little turn in the box, gets blocked. What do you think of the change in midfield shape this camp, Shalrie? It seemed like, in large part leading up, Greg's been more of like a single defensive mid, 2 8s in front. We've heard so much about that system. And now, a little bit of a clothesline seemingly right there. Ferreira down. We'll see what happens. Looks like a corner kick for the U.S., but that was some WWE stuff right there.
Yeah, he got knocked out.
Looks like double pivot now, like with Musa and Adams, and in this game, De La Torre and Acosta with somebody in front. What do you think about that change in midfield shape?
I'm kind of surprised he went with double pivot, seeing that he's playing a lesser team that in terms of they're pushing numbers forward and you're going to dominate the ball. I'm surprised he went with double pivot instead of just having a single pivot. Because with the single pivot, you have at least 2 players ahead of the ball. You have two attacking midfielders, but they're 8s and 10. You can differentiate between the 8s and the 10, but I'm kind of surprised he went with double pivot and not just putting more numbers forward in terms of having more players ahead of the ball when the center backs or the single pivot have it. So I'm kind of surprised he went with 2 of those instead of just putting Acosta there and why not move De La Torre and McKinney next to each other and just have more players ahead of the ball so that way you can have more players getting into more attacking space or getting into the box or just more players ahead of the ball, which I really like.
I'm going to guess that De La Torre is going to be in this position just based on so far him pushing forward like that. But overall for the U.S., like a Musa Adams double pivot in the World Cup, let's say, because this is Nations League. It's important. It's a competitive game, but it's all prep for Wales and Iran and England. Do you think that gives the U.S. the best sort of midfield balance? And who would you want to see in front? Would you want to see Aronson? We saw him against Morocco. Do you think it's McKinney? We've sort of been arguing about this midfield makeup for a while now.
Ooh.
It does look
Chuck,
like
you
it's.
take that
It does
one.
look like in possession that it's De La Torre next to Acosta.
Yeah, when they're in possession. Now, I think for me personally, the best three in the middle is with Adams as a single pivot and Musa and McKinney. I love the way Musa moves and how he flows. It's just everything he does is just effortlessly. The way he runs, move with the ball, the way he closes the ball down. He's a great ball winner. And then his offensive skills, I think it will just complement Christian and whoever is on the other side and Weston and all those guys. I think Musa would be the three in the middle would be Adams, Musa, and most likely McKinney. That's my three I would like to see when they're playing stiffer and harder competition. See those guys grow into the game and see what those guys are capable of when they're playing a team like England and when they're playing a country like England. It'll be fun to watch those three in the middle.
Did you catch Charlie Goss's impression of you on Extra Time on Thursday?
I did not.
I don't know if it was any good, to be honest with you. He tried to play he tried to take. He listened to your podcast with Jimmy and with Heath, and he tried to emulate and really live your Musa takes about the lack of final product.
It's true. I mean,
It's not false. I can't
Yeah.
argue with you in that sense.
But
Yeah.
there's the big but. He's so technically good and tactically. He's an incredible player. And like Shalrie said, he's smooth, he's silky smooth. And he's the only midfielder who can dribble out of pressure. He's the only one. And for that reason, he has to be on the pitch. The problem is with that midfield, that trio, there's not much support for the 9, especially if that 9 is supposed to be stretching the back line. There's no one there to fill that space. And you could have Christian come inside, or you could have Timo Weah or Gio Reyna, whoever is starting on the right side in the World Cup. But there just seems to be a disconnect. And so I think the only way that you can address that is just constantly reinforcing to Musa that he's got to be that midfielder who gets up and gets underneath. And Weston McKennie does it, but he's more of the late run out of midfield. He's not the initial run. So,
yeah.
17 minutes in here, 0-0 at Q2 Stadium. For those tuning in, no, you cannot watch the game here. We appreciate you being here. We're having fun talking through what's happening and what will happen. Grenada, U.S., CONCACAF Nations League, getting the campaign started, the U.S. defending champions. ESPN Plus, the U.S. Unimas, TuneIn, that's where you will head to watch the game. But you will keep us up on Twitch and YouTube Live, and we will take any and all questions that you have. Otherwise, we'll just do our own thing here. McKinney wearing the armband, getting the start. He's back. Charlie, you saw CCV got his move set to Celtic. Looks like it's about 10 million with add-ons from Tottenham. So that's a decent move. Boy, Celtic. It's like I feel like I know somebody who maybe was gonna go to Celtic. It might be in this. Gosh, it's right on the tip of my tongue, man. I just can't quite think.
It was close. It was close. It was close.
How close, Shalrie?
I think we got the people in charge got a little bit greedy. Back then, they wanted a little bit too much money for me, which, thinking about it now, probably I was worth it back then. But I could have pushed a little bit more if I really, really tried and wanted to move over to Scotland. I could have pushed a little bit more, but my love and heart was here. And I was just grateful to be playing professional soccer. I never understand the opportunity of going overseas until it was a little too late when I really realized, but I'm grateful for the opportunity that I've gotten to play for the Revolution and for what the Crafts have given me. They've stood by me from day one, and they've always sent their support. But I would have loved the opportunity just to see the challenges over there and to see what I could have done or what it could have been.
Beautiful build up there by the U.S. Who's the through ball all the way through to
Kellen Acosta?
That's just a little ball off. You see, Long sees it. He sees the space opening up. Great through ball through to. It's like to Ferreira. Just can't quite get his feet right to get the ball. No. McKinney.
You think Acosta is going to be on the roster of the World Cup? I still can't figure out what's his best position. Because when I watch him with LA,
that's the reason why he's going to be on it. is because he can
Yeah.
play every position, and just because Greg Berhalter has seen him at the highest level against Mexico in the Nations League final, he steps in and he has a brilliant performance. He just covers so much ground. He had the run for most consecutive games in a row in the national team with Greg Berhalter. So he's a lock, and it's a lock for a depth piece, not necessarily. I don't see him starting at all for the U.S. men's national team, but he's a player that if anyone gets hurt or there's
it's Adams. To me, it's Adams. If Adams gets suspended or if he gets hurt, which is, I mean, like, it's not. This is no knock on Kellen, but like that's worst case scenario for the U.S. if you don't have Tyler Adams.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, his versatility is a huge part of why he can be on the roster for the World Cup selection or the World Cup qualifiers. He's definitely, his versatility is a huge part of his game. So I like that.
I'm really hopeful that we'll have 26 man. Just to see more guys get the opportunity. Yeah, you might not need it. I do think that climate is going to play a role. I don't know how it wouldn't.
You talking about that yellow card?
Obviously, I'm
you see the tackles?
Yeah.
Did you guys see the tackles?
Your boy Charles, that thing was no joke.
Oh, I kind of expected this a little bit earlier, but it's gonna come. I think that's part of the game. They just have to try to bully their way a little bit, and that's one of the mentalities I try to bring to the team. That like sometimes you're not going to be the best technical team, but if you can bully your way and make people a little afraid of you, then you can intimidate them just a little bit to get them off their game. So I'm surprised it's 20 minutes now, and that's the first yellow. I thought it would have been 5 minutes and a yellow card would have been shown, or a tackle someone would have hit someone, a 2-foot tackle or something, to send a message earlier on.
Shalrie on the sideline. He's like, hey, 2 foot. Get him. Let him know. We're from St. George's. Don't mess around.
He said we don't joke.
No, sir.
We don't.
I'm always a huge intimidating. I think
it's
here he comes. Whoa! I must be like a minute behind you guys. Yeah, not playing around there. Not playing around. Oh. So we have a question. Question for you, Charlie, and Shalrie, chime in, obviously, if you got a take on this. In the current team, not the one on the field, but I think overall the entire team, which player's mentality do you like the most? Do you admire the most?
Mentality.
It's hard to measure. I think it's your own measurement, really.
Tyler Adams.
And that's just in the press. That's in the doggedness, the sort of the single-mindedness sometimes.
Tyler Adams is because he doesn't care. He goes out and he gives his heart in every performance. He empties the tank in every performance. He plays with that chip on his shoulder, and it's almost like a slight bit of arrogance, like swag. And sometimes it gets him in trouble, and I think that's where he's learning how to kind of do that in that position. But in terms of attacking players with flair and talent, and we don't have that right now. So if we're just going on pure mentality, then you have to love what Tyler Adams brings to the table.
Boy,
Timo Weah could get there though.
Anybody with a mohawk like for the U.S. is just getting destroyed by this goalkeeper. First it's Ferreira, now it's long. Oh, if you shave it down on the sides and have it long in the back, you're getting clocked. Taking one.
School mullet. Was it a mullet or is it a mohawk?
It's both.
It's like a wide, it's like a wide mohawk that just runs into a mini mullet in the back.
Because if it gets if there's a certain width to it in the back, then I think it negates the mohawk and it becomes a mullet.
Yeah, it goes. Yeah.
That's how they differentiate between the mohawk and the mullet. Huh?
When you see the curl, in the back, which Long definitely has, I think
the mullet.
You've gone mullet.
That's the transition right there. Yeah, you hit the transition.
Yeah, you've gone mullet at that point, I think. Joe Dirte, a little Joe Dirte action there.
The Mohawk got countered right there.
Yeah.
in that
Joe
moment.
Dirty.
Joe Dirt,
They should have
baby.
made a part 2 in that movie, by the way.
What a movie! What a classic, Joe Dirt. What a great movie.
Oh, unbelievable.
Cult classic.
Uh,
We'll drop some good lines from that here later on.
that
Tell
one
me,
and Deuce Bigelow.
Just wow, we're going male gigolo
Deuce
in this.
Bigelow
Huh?
is up there.
Here we go. Christian
it's
on
up there.
ESPN Plus. Would you count that as a mullet? I don't think it has the curl in the back, but it's got the same.
It's a little bit more faded. It's like the fade Mohawk. So I give him the Mohawk.
Yeah.
That's quite the summer look. He knows he's about to head back to PA for the summer.
Yeah, that's the NSYNC, the
Gotta
NSYNC
get his-
JT look.
Got to get his look right.
Oh yeah, I like it. I think it's out of the box for him. I like that he's doing things differently. He's trying something new on his hair.
What? Tell me about soccer in Grenada, Shalrie.
Ooh, where should we start?
The
soccer
field,
in
the
Grenada.
pitch.
We have our own league, just like any. You're gonna see it when they play that return leg. Hopefully by then the stadium is at least playable. But it's fun. It's fun. The league is still young. It's developing. The players don't get paid for it, so that's probably one of the biggest problems. Another problem is probably the youth not playing soccer as they used to. Growing up, we used to pretty much play soccer every day, and when I was there, I didn't see that as much. A lot of the kids, they just found different things to entertain them. I think the devices, the phones, the iPad, that stuff has taken away a lot from the Caribbean and Grenada in particular in terms of developing talent. But soccer in Grenada is still fun. It's still fun to watch. It's still exciting. There's always going to be a lot of people at home just love watching their town play. It's all town soccer and our league. So you get to go watch your favorite player, your son, your grandson, whatever it is, your brother. So that's probably one of the biggest highlights when I was home. I was going to watch like the teams play against each other and just learning more about the players and learning more and just reconnecting with some of the players I've grown up with and some of the people that I haven't seen in a while. But it's hard to watch sometimes because the players are not as technical or tactical or even.
What about the level of coaching?
Not good enough.
Yeah, but has it improved since you were playing as a youth?
I think it's on its way. People like Jason Roberts, who I play with, ex-pro, he's an ambassador now for the CONCACAF. He's been doing things where he's implementing like coaching license, like certificates and stuff like that, having courses and classes that like coaches, ex-coaches or ex-players can go and learn, and pretty much like how the US have done with their A license and B license. In the Caribbean now, they're forcing all these coaches to at least get educated about the game, and they're requiring them to make sure that they have some sort of license, in other words, to coach teams. So I really like that when they're trying to make that move.
What was your town team, Shalrie? Who did you play for coming up?
River Road Rangers, we call them Rangers, Queens Park Rangers.
River Road, nice.
Red and white.
How old were you when you made your debut?
Like 11, going on 11.
Hey, you don't want to get him in
Once you're
trouble
good enough,
with
you play. The size, Once you're good enough on the island, you play.
Well, St. John's is
when you
not
start
gonna,
getting paid. You said I was 12.
Red Storm's like, cut it, cut the mic, cut the mic. What was making that debut like for you? Because I mean, it's not the same, but I remember being a kid, and even just something as simple as like getting invited to jump up to like the pickup game with the dudes at my church, that like when I was 12 or 13, getting to play with those guys was a big deal. So at 11 to jump up, and I'm sure you were at those games growing up. What did that mean to you?
Huge. I think playing with players that was a lot older, bigger, stronger, faster. Obviously, the age difference, it kind of helped me in the long run because you had to hold your own, especially being at home. Because when you're playing, even in pickup soccer, even small goal, like we call them, you would be getting kicked and you can't do nothing about it because you're obviously a little boy. So all you can do is just take it, smile, and move on. So that physical part of the game, I learned it from a young age. And I was fortunate enough that I was able to play with my uncle, who was a national team player and probably the best Grenadian player in my eyes ever was my uncle. So I was able to learn a lot from him and just being around him and playing. I played every day pretty much, except for Saturday mornings. I would go to church, and then in the afternoon I would beg my mom and my grandma, can I go out for a little bit? And then we would go play soccer. So it was pretty much every day.
Now look at these kids just on their iPads, on their phones, bums.
Yeah.
Just that older generation. I was just, come on, guys, what are you doing? We have some people, Charlie, in the chats here that are not very happy right now with the U.S. performance so far. How would you assess this? It's no, there have been some opportunities, but not anything I would call clear cut.
Nope,
because they haven't scored.
It's disappointing so far. 32 minutes in, and what I would say is just not threatening enough. This Grenada team, you should be beaten up, and if it's 0-0, the shots should be on goal. It should be more combination play, more 1v1 opportunities. Yeah. It's lacking all of that. I'm disappointed. I mean, we talk about Jesus Ferreira all the time. The past 3 games, everyone knows all his play is under a microscope at the moment. It's just he's not showing enough.
And that's kind of the problem. Like if you look at it, if you look at the game, you see it's a lot of crosses. That's why there's a lot of collision from the goalkeeper and the defenders and players and the attacking players in particular. Because I think the US are crossing the ball to and their number 9, who is barely 6 foot tall. So I don't get why they're trying to cross balls into there instead of looking to get into the half space. And as Chuck said, a little bit more combination play and just a little bit more movement in central positions that can create a little bit more havoc. But right now it's just too many crosses for my liking.
A little bit of break here right now in Austin. We joked about it earlier, but it is true. It was 103 degrees today in Austin. That's why this game did not go off at 7 p.m. Eastern. It would have been miserable. I mean, I think that's the way to put it. It would have been absolutely miserable. So we're in a little bit of a break here. These are introduced when the heat index is at a certain level to protect the player's safety. Come get a water break, regroup. You see Greg Berhalter kind of making the rounds, giving instructions. So far, it seems like most of the build-up, most of the opportunity to play some of those balls through to get into some open spaces have come to the right with Areola. Haven't seen Morris in those positions necessarily, more of arriving at the back post type of situation. But I maybe at this point, Shalrie, I could see where you're saying about De La Torre. Like, can you get him in a little bit more advanced positions to help provide combination play around the box? A nice little move here. Ferreira in on goal, left-footed, just a weak attempt.
No power.
Charlie, walk me through that moment for Jesus Ferreira. Coming into the left channel. It's a good through ball sort of in stride to him. Good build-up play, good combination play in the midfield. McKinney frees Acosta through, takes a touch, good through ball. First touch takes him a little bit wide. Does he need to go first time there? Does he just have to have a better first touch?
No, he doesn't need to go first time there. It's a great run from Jesus Ferreira. Because the timing of that run, knowing when to break and knowing that that's the space that you need to get into, that was all perfect. The ball in behind from Kellen Acosta. Again, the perfect weight gives him enough time to catch up to the ball. But it's the rushing of the shot, because the reason why he didn't get enough on it is because he was too far away from the ball. He wasn't on top of the ball, and that's because he's reaching for that shot. He's reaching with the left foot, and therefore you can't generate power when you're reaching when the ball's a little too far away from your plant foot, because you can't get it on top of it. So that, to me, whenever I see a striker in those positions and they're rushing, it's because they feel that pressure. It's that pressure to score and to perform, and it's obviously getting to him because he knows the spotlight's on him, and if he doesn't score, and let's say he only has 45 minutes to play, again, that's another game where you're not scoring, and that's your job for the U.S. men's national team. And this is a much weaker opponent than Morocco and Uruguay. You might get the pass on those two, but not Grenada.
Agreed. And he's rushing. I feel like he's rushing, the team's rushing. As you look at it, they're not looking to combine or draw Grenada out and move the ball, attract them, and then move the ball and then find spaces. Everything feels so rushed right now.
And that was what I liked about that play. Is it seemed like the midfield understood that. Okay, hey, get the pursuit happening. Once we get Grenada in pursuit a little bit, we can play through them and get ourselves in those positions to have space to run into, to have channels to play into, to have a little bit of a downhill run at this. But yeah, and you see it in that Morris pass right there. You see it in some of the service. You see in the build up. It's either too slow, decisions are being made too slow, or it's a rushed ball.
Mm-hmm. And I'm surprised, especially for a Berhalter team, that he preaches patience, he preaches ball movement. He wants everyone to get involved when they're going forward and they move like a team and be in sync. And right now, it just doesn't feel like they're in sync with what they're trying to do. Everything is so impatient. Everything is 2 passes, 3 passes, and let's look for the home run ball instead of trying to just move them around. Things will open up, move them around a little bit for the U.S., but I like what Grenada has done so far. It's 0-0, and
I agree.
It really hasn't been any clear chances they haven't given up. So just credit to Grenada right now.
Big Spice Boys energy right now, man. Just do you get that's like the official nickname. Does anybody use that?
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
All day.
Nice,
All
nice,
day.
nice. Love it.
Yeah, when I first met Shalrie, he said, "You want salt or pepper?" I said, "What?" He said, "Pick a spice because I'm the spice boy."
I don't think so. Can't just be salt and pepper on the island, man. They gotta get a little bit,
Yeah, I think he said-
get a little curry going.
I think he said something like, "You look like paprika." I said,
You
"What?"
heard his accent, though? I don't know why.
Hey, I'm a rude boy.
It's getting better. Though.
There
The more
you
you
go.
use it,
I don't
it's
know.
getting better.
Hey,
I
it
thought
took
he
some
was.
time
I
for me
thought
to
he was
settle in,
better
huh?
in the pre-show before we came on.
Yeah,
This has been the.
took me some time to settle in, brethren.
Yeah.
All right, bless up.
You need a glass of wine or something right now.
I'll fall asleep. You know what that-
So Matt Doyle's out here doing what he does on Twitter and doing a little. I can't say the word on the watch along, but he's ish posting a little bit. He's posting gifs. The first one of Brandon Vasquez doing this. Like where am I? The second one's Jeremy Abobasi looking around. Charlie, do you think it's possible that a name that we haven't seen so far could get into this group for the World Cup? We have Haji in this
Anything is
camp.
possible.
Yeah, that's
No, of course it's possible, but the only way that I talked about this before. If Brandon Vasquez and Jeremy Abobasi, because I know Matt Doyle loves both of them, the only way that they get into this camp and get involved is if they continue to produce the way they have been for the entire season, for the entirety of Major League Soccer's regular season. If they can prove and get better with each performance, they will get a call up because it's all about form and consistency. And Greg Berhalter talked about, I'm going to bring the hot hands when it comes to Qatar. So there's levels to it, right? If Christian Pulisic is not playing as much as you'd like, it doesn't matter. He's locked in starting. Weston McKennie is locked in starting. But for some of the players, especially in the 9 position, where no one has really stepped up, no one's claimed it. Jesus Ferreira might be the one right now, but Ricardo Pepi can easily reclaim that one spot with a run of form in Germany. Oh, that's all it takes. He had a rough 6 months, maybe a new coach, a good preseason. He starts strong, and there you go. He hits his form, and he's not going anywhere, and he's a starting striker in the Bundesliga. That's your starting striker come the first game of the World Cup. Decisions can kind of self-pick themselves if these players are fit and in form, or if a player is injured, then it makes the job easier for Greg Berhalter. But in terms of the striker position, I mean, it all comes down to who's playing well in 6 months. So I can see a lot of changes, and I could see no changes. I mean, it really depends. There's a lot that can happen.
go on a limb for both of you. Who do you think it'll be against Wales? Any answer could be the right answer. That's where we're at right now.
The starting striker?
I'm saying you put your best.
Just the
Yeah,
striker?
you put your best players up there.
Striker. Who is going to be the striker
against Wales right now?
Against Wales.
Chuck, you go.
I would have said.
Let's see what you got.
My
8 months ago, I would have said Ricardo Pepi.
Yep.
Now it's been a dry 8 months for Ricardo Pepi.
My mind wants to tell me that Timo Weah is your starting striker.
Yes, sir.
Right now, he's
with
your
Reina. With Reina and Pulisic, put your best 3 players up there and let them move to the game, to the flow of the game. Just figure out where the 3 of them there. Obviously, they'll get the freedom to move. But I love that you put in Weah, and I'll put Reina and Pulisic up there, and then let them flow. That's what I would do too, Chuck.
All right, we got Shalrie and Charlie on the record right here. They got Timo Weah up there. I mean, I don't hate it.
Put some on it.
If it continues like this, and I know we haven't seen Weah, like part of me is surprised that we haven't seen him experiment with it yet. And maybe that is when he says Haji's going to get the start against El Salvador. Maybe that's what we see in Europe in the fall.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry, did you see that?
Oh
no.
Chuck is ahead. I just checked my ESPN Plus. Right as it. Dang! I told you. This is a Jesus Ferreira game. These are the games he does it in. 1-0 US. We're behind on our stream right now, but get ready. Wow. If you're listening to us, if you're kind of looking around, if you think about going to the bathroom here, if you can't hold it for 5 minutes until halftime, if you're distracted, I don't know how these people are. You're like these kids in Grenada. You're just on your phone all day while you watch TV. Put the phone down.
Let me see
it's Areola, of course. I mean,
I know. It's very predictable. This
comes right to his foot. He takes a touch and finishes with his left foot. So it bounces off a defender. He sets up. He swivels with his hips and finishes. And it's a great finish with his left foot.
Build up from the back. Aaron Long gets it started.
Keeper doing better.
That one's difficult. From that angle, it's difficult for the keeper to get that one. Maybe the defending could have been better, but I think for a keeper, that's a tough ask.
It seems I don't know this.
Yeah, with all the bodies too. Good for him. It's good for Jesus. He deserves one.
Yeah, he really
Hopefully
does.
that'll get his confidence going. Yeah, hopefully that'll get him
going. You can see in his reaction too.
He's
just like the two-handed, just sort of like, man, finally.
The Kaka praise Jesus.
Yeah, finally.
Oh, you may. Here he goes again.
Do we gotta watch out? Shalrie told us, man, get that first one on Grenada right before halftime. That's the gut punch. Had been there. You had been all half. Had really kind of shut it down.
If they can go into the half at 1-0, that might not.
That's a win.
That's pretty good.
Be happy about that.
That's pretty good. And really, like maybe two like clear-cut chances, including that one. Other ones were sort of snatchy, like maybe. You know, it's the Ferreira, the left-footed one. He had a bad touch and rushed, and then it's that one.
Yeah. I mean, Finley would be out as a coach. I would be happy about, especially not just the ranking, but the caliber of players he's playing against. Those guys are literally professionals. He's playing against that, they're probably the best players at their club, if not the top players at their club. And to go in 1-0 down at the half right now, you probably take a lot of positive from that and just keep encouraging your players. Like, we still got 45 minutes left. We can nick one here later in the game. We just got to keep it at 1 right now, at least till the half, and then to the 60th minute, to the end, the 75th minute. And then you start thinking about 15 minutes increments. What do you do and what kind of adjustments you make? But you got to go into the half at 1-0 down. That would be it's a good first half for Grenada.
Do you think they get a shot before the end of the half?
Nah, no chance. No.
I mean, I just saw Matt Turner take what might be his first touch.
Is he in goal? I
don't know who's in goal. It's one of those games. He's walking around back there. Do you we'll save the left back question and the Juan Jones question for halftime. Shalrie, I want to get your take on that. What
Sounds good.
what do you see every day in training from Matt Turner?
Excellence. The goalkeeping coach is by far one of the best. Not just goalkeeper, but goalkeeping coach, but one of the best persons I've been around in the last year and a half, last 2 years at the Revs. We talked about his playing career and the players he had around him. And then when Matt come to work, he always takes them literally 45 minutes to an hour before the entire group trains, and he worked them to death. Like it's 5-6 days out of the week, they're working hard. Everyone comes out at 10:15 after video session or whatever, and then the players do what they do. But Kevin Hitchcock, he works them for at least an hour before we come out there, and then they got like 20-30 minutes before they join the group. So they're working hard, especially we have like 5 goalkeepers in training now, and he works them till every day of the week for at least 80 to 90 minutes pretty much, and then they join the group. So the work has shown, Matt has shown that he can be one of the best, if not the best in the US. And he's taking his talent to Europe, to England, to see if he can make the jump and challenge himself a little bit. And I think he'll be great over there if given the opportunity to play, especially for my team, which is Arsenal. So I'm looking forward to him.
I was just about to ask. Who's your team in Europe? So there it is.
Yeah, I love Arsenal. I love Vieira and Henry and Bergkamp back in the days. Growing up as a young boy, I always love Arsenal. And then to this day, I love what Arteta is trying to do now, influencing and bringing in all those youth with Saka and all those guys he's put in and given an opportunity. I love what they're doing over there.
As we wait for the stroke of halftime here, can I just say something I've been thinking the whole time? Grenada's kits just blow the US's kits out of the water, dude. The yellow and the green with the red, it's sick. It's sick.
Yeah, it's very colorful. Ice green and gold. That's why you get a
Spice Boys, baby.
Spice Boys.
Yeah, no, you can't be a Spice Boys out there in a white shirt.
Yeah.
Like that's not the way it works. What's your big takes from the?
I think US should do like retro kits. I don't get why, and I guess it's hard, but I think US should do a lot more retro kits for those tournaments like this. They should be pulling out a lot more retro kits, because I think back in the days, obviously the fit is different. You have to make it tighter now because everybody wants to show off their muscles and body. But I think they should go back to some of the retro kits because it's kind of cool looking back at them.
Not like your early days, Shalrie. You guys playing in the big baggies. Just the heat just hanging on you. The polyester, man. Had to be a polyester.
That was just for the winter days. Those was for the cold times.
What do you want to see in the kits, Charlie, for the World Cup? What would you, in an ideal world, not what we are going to see, but in an ideal world, what would you want to see?
I think the Waldo kits. Every image I've seen of those, I'm like, they look fire, and I want to see those star kits from the '94 World Cup brought back for the 2026. When we play for the home, that it's like, okay, let's run it back with those kits, those star kits. That should be it.
This Ferreira? Sorry, Chuck. You seen this Ferreira chance?
Yeah.
Like, you think you should obviously it took a deflection, but you think a player of his caliber should be hitting the back of the net, at least
in that position? Yes.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah. I mean, it was deflected, so.
Yeah, that's 12 yards, close to 12 yards away. That's what I'm saying. Like, is he really the answer? Is he a goal scorer? And that obviously he has a goal, but that's chances like a top goal scorer will hit the back of the net. Even though it took a slight deflection, he's finishing that with a top goal scorer right now, Harry Kane or whoever you want to compare. They hitting that and finishing the back of the net.
Mm-hmm.
That's what worries me. Like, with the US and they're playing better teams, you're only getting 2 or 3 quality chances. And if they fall to him, will he be able to make those? That would be my question.
In that case, it's decent closing down. He puts it on frame, it's deflected. Is it that he's not pulling the trigger fast enough? Is it that he's not creating the angle quick enough? Like, what's he got to do better to get it there? Or is it just sort of like the intangibles of like literally you have 2 chances against England, that's all you've got, and it's fine if you put it on frame and it gets deflected, but it's not going to be the moment of glory that we need to win or perhaps get through in that situation in the final game in the group stage?
I mean, it could be as simple as you only get 2 chances, or it can be as simple as the movement and your ability to be multidimensional, playing 1-2s. Tonight, in particular, I liked his runs. He showed me like progress in terms of getting him behind into the channel, behind the back line, stretching him. It wasn't so much coming back, which was nice to see. And I would guess that has been an emphasis on his game. Don't come to the ball so much. You're clogging up the space. We already have 3 midfielders. Don't bring more center backs into that space unless you see that Christian's 1v1 and the center back's going to come with you. If the center back's not coming with you, it's useless. You're not creating space for Timo Weah and Christian Pulisic to run behind. And if I was England, I'd let you run into the midfield the whole time. I said, go ahead. No one's going to follow you. You're not going to hurt me. Go ahead. And it's almost like you play her into their hands. When you can stretch and get him behind and be a little bit more unpredictable, it's almost kind of, okay, I'll check 2, I'll run 2, I'll check 1, I'll run 3. The more you can keep the defender guessing, the better off it is for the team to expose and catch a moment where you're catching a defender off guard. So I want to see a little bit more of that from Jesus Ferreira, but hey, tonight's progress. So
1-0 at halftime for the U.S. against Grenada, CONCACAF Nations League, kicking off this edition of the Nations League, of course, the U.S. defending champions. Jesus Ferreira with the goal. We've talked a lot about Ferreira and the number 9 position throughout the first half. Yeah, it's 88 degrees, by the way. So we're joking about 103. It's 88 degrees. So it's cooking in Central Texas. That's no joke right there.
That's nothing for Shalrie, though.
That's nothing for we island boys. That's just another day.
What's a normal temperature in Grenada?
Around 88 to 95 every time. But we have a nice breeze. Yeah, that's one thing about the Grenada. Even though the sun is hot and obviously it's shining and beautiful, there's always a cool, nice little breeze that you feel from the ocean.
So your skin's getting cooked, but you don't feel it.
Yeah. You can get purple, but you ain't really feel it too.
Oh, man.
You're getting grilled, but hey, you're not feeling it. And then you can always jump in the ocean.
That's the Grenada Tourism Committee right here. Like, get the nice breeze. Like, you might be cooking, but you're not feeling it. You're not feeling it. Well, we saw a lot of sunscreen if you need it as well. All right, hit us with the stats. Let's see what we saw here. 12 shots for the U.S., 4 shots on goal. Obviously, the possession numbers shifting to the U.S. We knew that was going to be the case. Passing accuracy, et cetera, corners. I mean, really, the only stat that matters, honestly, is 1-0. I mean, that's for the U.S. It's about creating big chances, and it's about putting those chances away and creating, relationships, but more importantly, some confidence and some patterns of play that you think can be killer in the end as you build toward the World Cup. Who's the player of the half for you, Charlie? Who was the best player in that half for the U.S.?
Kellen Acosta. Weston McKennie looked pretty good too. De La Torre had his moments, but I would say Kellen Acosta stood out for me. He had some killer balls, balls that cut out 3 or 4 Grenada players. He put in Kellen or Jesus Ferreira once or twice. He put in Reggie Cannon also, and Reggie Cannon fluffed his cross, but I thought he was fantastic so far in terms of just getting on the ball and trying to create opportunities for his teammates.
What about you, Shalrie? Who are you impressed by?
The entire team. I think if I had to single out a player, it would be Jason Belfon. Obviously, the goal is still a question. Could he have done better? Could the defenders at least make it tougher for Ferreira to get his shot off? But I think for Grenada, just keeping it at 1-0 in 45 minutes against a top 10 country in the world like that, like US, I think it shows that they have defended well. They have kept everything in front of they've limited U.S. chances and opportunity to create something. So I think for Michael Finley right now, he's got to, even though you're down 1-0, you still got to applaud the guys and encourage them for keeping it a scoreline of 1-0, and then try to figure out what you do in the second half, how you're going to make your adjustments in the first 15 minutes, then the next 30, then the next 15, then the last 15. What are you trying to do? What are you trying to do within those increments? But for me, I would say the first half, I would give it to all 11 guys in Grenada. But the goalkeeper definitely stand out because he was brave coming off his line. He was brave commanding the space behind the back line. And then he was good organizing his back four and his back five in particular, and then keeping everyone just in tune and mentally sound in terms of not giving up too much.
Easy for us to get wrapped up in the U.S. side, thinking about the World Cup, thinking about who's the 9 going to be. But this is competitive here. This is the Nations League. This is an opportunity that Grenada doesn't get every day.
No.
To be in this position, I think you're spot on with that. I mean, if you're looking for the standout performance, it's the Spice Boys, man. It's what they've done so far, and a little unlucky, honestly, probably to be down 1-0 given the deflection that popped right back to Jesus Ferreira's feet. Let's take a look at that goal and just sort of have you walk us through it as we see it, Charlie. Whenever we get it up, here we go. Yeah, I mean, it is like it's a good ball in behind to Areola or from McKinney in behind, then another deflection, then back to Jesus. This is not necessarily the like quote unquote well worked sort of team goal that we might want to see, but it is definitely hey, put pressure on another team, direct balls, win the second balls, get a good break, have a good finish, and those count just as much.
Yeah, you as a striker, you also have to be opportunistic. Put yourself in the right place at the right time, and finish. We talked about Areola getting behind and looking for Jesus Ferreira. This time it comes off a defender, and Jesus Ferreira's run, it's coming back around. It's not the best place to be. It's not, but it ends up working out to his benefit because the pass where I think he was trying to look for Jordan Morris there, it comes out to him, and he takes a great touch with his right foot to put it onto his left to open up the angle for him so he could go near post or far post. And it's a good finish. It's not an easy finish. It's a lot harder than you think in that position. I thought he did a good job of putting it on target, and you could see what it means to him. I mean, there's a lot of pressure on him to succeed and not only play well, but score goals.
Yeah.
Looks like we have 2 changes coming at halftime here for the U.S. Looks like Weston coming off for Malik Tillman, Charlie, who I know you were really interested to see in this camp, and then Walker Zimmerman coming on for Aaron Long. So it seems like this is a game, and like, what do you know, so far Grenada hasn't had opportunities really to put the U.S. back line under a ton of pressure, but to at least see CCV next to both Long and Zimmerman seems to be that's the opportunity. What do you make of these changes at halftime for Greg?
I thought Cameron Carrs-Vickers put a solid performance on in the first half. There was one opportunity where he jumped the pass and was able to kind of start the counterattack and transition. So now he's getting a chance to play alongside Walker Zimmerman for 45 minutes, who's the number 1 center back at the moment. So far so good. And I knew this was his match to kind of show that he has the quality to be considered as the other starting back alongside Walker Zimmerman. It really came down to control and technique, playing out of the back, reading the game, and so far so good. Now, it's 45 minutes against a team, an inferior Grenada team, but that's the opponent, so continue to do your job, and I think he's done that.
How does Grenada create opportunities, Shalrie? If you're Michael Finley and you're in the locker room, you're talking about 15-minute increments. First of all, you've got to keep the score line where it's at, but you need a goal. How do you get a goal? What's the plan?
Open up and play. I think the first thing you got to do is let the leash off their players. You got to understand that you might give up. If the game becomes a little bit more open, then you'll create something. You'll be able to hit them on the counter attack and then press. I think with the athletic ability of the Grenadian players, I would like to see them press more, force them into building out and then press more, because Greg is a huge admirer of trying to build out and play and trying to play under pressure. He encourages players to play the ball into feet and play it into space when needed. But I think right now you would have to open up. If I was Michael Finley, I would try to open up and unleash my players, because I believe if you turn it into a track meet, you might be superior in terms of the athletic ability of your players in each position. So I would turn it into a track meet, saying that you might get hurt with 2 or 3 goals though. So that's probably me as a coach worrying that. I like to go for wins. I can take the thumping. I can take the 4 to 5 nothing win if I play my style.
10,
soccer.
or 10, you know,
or 10.
Or 10.
Give me a 10 piece.
Don't dig it in.
that was the first game, man. That was the first game. We were just figuring this out. All right, we went for it. We didn't have the backup plan.
Yeah,
Malik
you
Tillman.
got nothing to lose.
That's true. That's fair. Actually, before we get to Malik Tillman and talk US, what does Nations League mean to, you know, a country like Grenada, to these teams in Central America and the Caribbean that were looking for more competitive opportunities, not just against the US, but overall? Like, how does this change soccer in those regions?
It's a huge change. The ability to play countries like US and just have more meaningful game, and giving small countries, not just Grenada, but St. Lucia, Trinidad, all these small countries in the island, all these small countries in the Caribbean, giving us an opportunity to showcase our talent and to try to get to significant tournaments like World Cups and qualifiers, stuff like that. It's just huge for the Caribbean in general, because then you get to play countries, you get to play America, you get to play the Jamaica, teams like that. You get to play big teams, and having the Nation League tournament, it gives those small countries, gives us a chance to play significant game, play meaningful game, and give us an opportunity to even qualify for the World Cup further down the road, obviously. But it gives us a huge chance, and that's all you want as a country, is to give you a chance and to play great games. And this is such a huge game for the country. I think everyone's up now, and it's close to 11 o'clock, 12 o'clock now. It's 11 o'clock, and everybody probably glued in front of their TV, probably having like a red stripe or something, and blasting music.
Hooray for beer!
Yes, sir. And it's a Friday night. So
how would you be watching? Is this like, you know, I think back to traveling and seeing people like in their sort of natural spot on a Friday night. Are people out front with gathered around the TV? You gotta love the big bottles with the little cups. That's the way. That's like the best way to drink beer, in my opinion. You gotta go big bottle, little cup. Everybody at the table fills it up. It stays cold.
You sharing a beer?
No,
Andrew, wait.
You got like the big.
You sharing a beer? Where you go to the brewery?
You got the cups. Yeah. I mean, maybe I do it differently. Maybe I don't know. I've been different. I haven't been to Grenada. Don't know how they do it. Don't know how the Spice Boys do it.
Has everyone got a bowl of popcorn and they
It's not like popcorn. Nobody's got their hand in your cup, Charlie. Get your own cup.
They got liquor, pretty much liquor. You can name it. They got Carib, Red Stripe, Stag. You name the beer and something strong. That's what everyone's doing right now. They're watching the game right now with a drink in their hand, gathering around friends and family. But trust me, there's some drinking going on while there's a massive party. That's what we do it.
Oh man. Getting ready for the halftime kick here. US Grenada, CONCACAF Nations League. Thanks for hanging out with us. Those of you that are tuning in on YouTube Live and Twitch, we'll be doing these shows all the way through the World Cup for the Canadian national team and the US. Canada in Vancouver last night, a big win against Panama after I don't know if the issues are averted by any means that they had with the CSA, with the Federation, with their pay dispute, but they at least took the field in the Nations League, got a win. Got a goal from Alphonso Davies from the spot in his return to Vancouver. I mean, look, I'm looking forward to both. Obviously, I have my heart, as Shalrie said, is with the U.S. And seeing them back in the World Cup is, I mean, it's a dream come true after the pain in Russia and that qualification cycle. But also extremely excited to see what Canada can do in their first opportunity in many, many decades. And obviously, both will have 2026 to build forward to. Charlie, we know what the changes are going to be in the second half for the U.S. Zimmerman in for Long, and then for Weston McKennie, you've got Malik Tillman coming in. We know what Zimmerman is. Malik Tillman, we don't know that much about. What do you want to see from this team in the second half, and what do you think we can expect from Malik Tillman?
I want to see them be a more effective in front of goal. And in terms of Tillman, I want to see what his skill set is. I would like to see him get on the ball, run at the back line, see what his passing skills like, what his dribbling ability, taking players 1v1, and Greg Berhalter is very high on him. So it'll be interesting to see what he's got.
Let's see. I'm trying to sync. Oh my! So we have a kickoff here.
Yeah,
I hit live. We're 45-24. That's why I've been behind this whole time. I was not live.
I'm glad you're live now.
Oh my God! 45-30, 1-0 U.S. Grenada kicked off Q2 Stadium in Austin. We're off and running. Thank you to producer Rich. Just a technical suggestion for Shalrie. When you go to the bathroom, you got to hit mute. You got to hit the mute button. Got to hit the mute.
All right, I got you next time.
Next time.
All right.
Who's your favorite? Like Shalrie is as a midfielder. Who on the U.S. is your favorite guy to watch? Like not necessarily that you think is the best player, but outside of maybe Yunus Musso, you already threw out there between Weston, LDT, Adams. Who do you like watching?
Ooh, I like Weston when he plays with Juventus. I feel like there's a lot more. He does a lot more when he plays with Juventus compared to when he plays with the US. When he played with Juventus, but Tyler Adams, I think Tyler Adams is by far one of the he's exceptional in terms of what he does when he plays with the US. I think he's probably the best player, the best six right now, obviously within the US. But if you had to compare him within the world, he can be mentioned. He can be in the conversation like one of those guys that can be elite in the next year or two if he's pushed and if he's developed in the right way. So if I had to say other than Musa, I would say Tyler Adams.
You think Tyler needs to move? This is for both of you. Maybe you have to take on this, Charlie. Or is RB Leipzig the right place for him?
Well, it depends on this season. If the players that are playing in front of him are moved, because if they're not, oh my gosh,
That was just a collision. There was an opportunity there to play Ferreira too. He was in a good spot. Oh, I missed it. There's Ferreira again. Opportunity header, top of the six, basically. Good ball across.
But De La Torre to come out of the midfield and find Areola, that was clean. Areola gets back on his feet, and Tillman plays in a ball for De La Torre right to Ferreira's head, and he puts it over.
Is that a half a chance, or has to be considered
a full? That's got to be a
chance.
goal.
It has to at least be on target.
It's low. It's a low header. It's not even. You don't have to jump for it.
He didn't have to jump.
That's a gimme.
I mean, you love the movement again, and it's like a broken record. The way he starts to make the hard run toward the near post, and then plants and pulls off, and understands where that ball's going. You love the movement, like that's unquestioned. You just the finishing is where it gets a little bit dicey, man. And really, if you're being honest, this is the first year in Dallas where he has been like a volume consistent finisher. That hasn't really been his MO before this, but the dude's 21 years old.
True.
That's not baby young in the international and for players of this caliber, but it's not he's not old. He's not the finished product.
Nah, it's still Chuck. What year did you make it? How old were you when you made your debut?
Well, when I banged 2 on you, when I was at BC in the Revolution, I was 19.
You still thinking about that bicycle? Okay.
Oh, you brought it up, not me.
God!
I would say I'll never forget that.
If Chuck scored a goal on you, especially a good goal, you don't get to forget. That's sort of the way that I've come to understand it.
I think it was the best goal of his career. That bicycle in college, I think it was by far one of the best goals I've seen. And I think it's probably one of his best goals, if not the best goal he ever scored.
Second best ever scored.
Yeah.
The other one was a bike in a tournament, international tournament in Austria. And we were playing the Austrian national team, and I hit a bike from 18, 19 yards out. It was to my chest, a ball up. I popped it up and just biked it.
Nice.
And I hit it so clean. It went like the keeper was kind of towards the middle of the goal and went almost upper 90 and dipped in. And I was like, did I just, I don't even think I celebrated because I was in shock.
Oh, nice.
He would have had to really be in shock for him not to celebrate.
Yeah,
Like,
I wasn't.
true medical state. Like that's not like absolute medical shock. Like that's diagnosable shock right there.
we were losing, and I was just like, why not?
That's another reason. Read the room right there. You got to read the room. Like, hey, good goal. Go pick it up, run it back. Let's go. Let's just run it back. That's a good one, though. Good one.
Did Grenada just make a sub? I didn't get to see who came in or who went off.
I must have missed it. I just looked over to see if Twitter was saying anything interesting right now.
Okay. It'd be interesting to see if they change their formation.
Yeah,
when
they put on
go to
Tyrone
back
Sterling.
Okay. And who came off? You know who came off?
Noel McLeod.
Okay.
What's that change?
I think they might go to a back four. He's an older veteran, early 30s. I used to start him at left back and left center back because he was just a stable player. He don't give you much going forward because obviously he's a little bit older, but he's just stable, helps you defend well, and he organized well. So it's an interesting sub. There he is. At some point, he has to bring on Jamal Ray Charles. I think he's probably if not the best Grenadian goal scorer right now. When I had him, I used to use him as a super sub because he would come in and he would change the game. Like we would need a goal or it was that time to just make adjustment, and he would be when there's an offensive adjustment, he would be the first player I would look down the bench and call him on. So I think at some point he might have to bring him on the last 15 minutes and maybe take off Belmore or put him up top with Belmore too and try something different.
Do you miss being on the island, living on the island?
Nah. I left at a perfect time because of the off the field stuff. I was partying too much. To get straight to the point, I was partying too much. So it was perfect timing for me to come back to America and come work. Like it was.
It's that breeze, man. It's Friday night. There's a breeze coming in. There it is. There it is. Jesus gets another one. I try to tell you guys. I said before the game. This has the makings of a Jesus for a hat-trick game. There were some skeptical laughs from that. He's got a left-footed finish, a little right-footed finish.
A little behind right now. Let's see how it builds up.
Ariola.
Again? Assistant?
Yep.
Cuts inside, good run. Yeah, he's on. Good ball. Good touch.
Great finish. Great finish. But that's what I'm surprised why they didn't do more of this in the second half. You see how many passes they had before they get that ball to Ferrer? There's at least like 10 to 12 passes before something opened up. So it's great to see them moving the ball like that. And you did call Jesus getting the second one tonight.
I got a third on my bingo board. I think he's picking up another one. He should have had another couple. He should have had another couple. He gets in just great spots.
Mm-hmm. Wow. That's a really nice finish. Ooh. That's a really nice finish. You must give him credit for that. His movement is good.
Tillman bursting into position. Nothing there. Oh, deflection? Okay. I was going to say. He just looks so... it just looks really effortless from him to do anything. And I don't know if that's like it just looks very, very easy. Like looks like he does things without having to put a ton of effort in.
Yep. It's almost like he's just gliding, cruising.
Yeah, the
through.
way he runs and takes space, even the way he hit that ball, I don't know.
There's your hat trick.
Did he get it?
No.
There's your hat trick.
Nostradamus, baby. Oh, let's go. Let's go. I called that. I knew it. This had the makings. Did Areola take the corner kick? Who was that? No, it was probably Kellen. There we go.
Yep.
He needed that, man. He
did need that.
He needed that. And I'm at the point now to say we need somebody to be hot. Like if everybody can get hot, wonderful. But we need somebody to be hot.
Somebody is better than nobody.
Exactly, and that was in some ways this is I mean he has all the room in the world to hit this. There's nobody even close to him. In some ways, it's like this little heat check moment. Like, oh, Jesus is hanging out at the top. Nobody's gonna mark him. Just pass it to him. See if he can rip it. Yeah. 43rd, 54th, 56th. Jesus Ferreira, 3 goals. Wow. I believe that's his. I want to say his 4th, 5th, and 5th, and 6th goal for the U.S.
Wow.
2 against TNT, 1 against Panama, and now 3 against Grenada.
Good for him. I hope he stays hot. He's got to prove himself. He's gonna have to prove himself week in and week out. I think in every international game that he's the man at that position. Because obviously the competition is the biggest thing.
Yeah, it is. Did you play against David? You had to have, right? His dad?
Who?
David Ferreira.
Yeah. Oh yeah, his dad was excellent, man. I get excited when the people talk about his dad. His dad was unbelievably clean on the ball. Like those are one of the players I remember just like kicking because I got so frustrated. Like I couldn't get the ball every time I wanted off him. And he was so silky, smooth. He would be able to get out of the pressure and stuff like that when I applied it on him. So when I remember playing against him, I remember one of the guys I used to just kick for the fun of it. Him and like Guevara and like Angel. They had a couple of players and Landon. Like if I couldn't get the ball from me, I know I was going to let you know you needed to wear shin guards at least around me. So I love his father.
Somebody was telling me the other day that that David was sneaky one of the strongest guys they ever played against. That like he's a little guy, but just that like once he had it, his ability to sort of like hold you off, but then to have that little bit of a push and burst with his legs to get away from you. Just set him apart.
He had balance. His center of gravity was exceptional. His low center of gravity, just unbelievable. Hopefully his pops, he talks to his pop when I would think Jesus was going on.
Dude, what a save.
Let's see this.
What an unbelievable save.
Ooh.
Luca de la Torre.
Yeah, that's a save.
I mean, that's a.
He pulled that out of the top corner, huh? The roof.
It's a sick save when the goalkeeper does like the double roll at the end. They never roll like that if it's if it's an easy save. They gotta throw in the double roll. It's like a golfer twirling your club. Like you don't twirl unless you know that thing is clean.
So what about the Neymar rule? Is that acceptable when someone kick you and you can roll 10 times on the field, or only the goalkeeper gets the roll?
Only if Shalrie kicks you, you get the roll.
Oh, okay.
Because he's on the side. He's on the. We've done some.
I kept my mouth shut.
Yeah, we've done some Chuck rolls in the past on instant replay. A couple subs coming in for the U.S. right now. You've got George Bello coming in at left back for Jedi, and then Christian Roldan, and I'm gonna guess Roldan. Okay, Roldan on for Morris. It looks like so they're gonna play him on the wing. That's interesting. It's better for him. He's more effective out there. Maybe Areola goes over to the left. Yeah, Jordan Morris off, Christian Roldan on. Little Sounders swap. Charlie, what do you think? What do you think about Roldan being on the World Cup team? It seems to really split people's opinions, but every time Greg talks about him, it's in super complimentary terms, and oftentimes more so than his contribution on the field. Because I think we can all agree that if Christian makes the World Cup team, he's probably not going to be a guy that either plays or plays much, which is, I don't think, a knock on him. It's just an indication of the quality of the team and his place in it. But it seems like he could be like that 23rd guy. And if they go to 26, I would venture to say he's going to be on the team.
Yes, agreed. He's a great teammate. He competes. He's locked in. You know, you can depend on him. You also want the culture and the chemistry within the team to be high. And whether he's playing or not playing, he comes with the same attitude. He's positive. It's just one of those guys that he's going to make the environment great, both in training but also off the pitch. So I have nothing but positive things to say about Christian Roldan.
Yeah, he's a glue guy, huh?
Yeah, he's a glue guy.
Yeah. You need those on the team. You really need those.
Yeah, you can't have 26 All-Stars.
True.
And to be fair, Roldan is, like, in MLS terms at least, he's an All-Star.
4-0.
Come on, play it to Jesus. No, is it gonna be LDT? Oh, not right through to Areola. Deserved it. Let's go, Paul. He's become so much more goal dangerous this year. I think he's been the best winger in MLS. I think it's pretty clear that he has been. Like, if you go on eye test, on performances, on FC Dallas's resurgence, on the play of the guys around him, including his play, and then you also just look at defensive production from the winger position, he is just a absolute monster. This is LDT. This is what LDT brings that I don't know that anybody other than Musa brings consistently, which is, like, when he picks up the ball in positions where he can get a shoulder down and turn, he almost always does it. The final product with him has been lacking at times too, but he attempts to make that final pass or to put the finishing touch. But man, once he gets his shoulder down and gets turned, he is so hard to keep up with.
Yes. There's a lot of quality there. Offensively, there's a lot of quality. You think defensively he'll be able to cover the ground? He'll be able to impact the game defensively? Or is it just all offensively? That would be my only reservations. If putting him in the game, when does he start in big games? Can he defend?
A game against Iran would be a great game for him. In terms of teams that are just gonna sit back for the most part.
I don't know that Iran's gonna sit back, man. They've, in qualifying at least, they haven't been that sort of team. It could be different at the World. I think Wales is more of a sit back team.
I think they'll be reserved.
Probably will also depend on what happens in that first game against England. Every game in the World Cup is so result dependent. Like, what position you're in, what's the makeup of the group, what do you need to get. Quick question for Twitch here: Weah or Areola as right winger? I mean, it's Weah.
Right.
All love to Paul. Like, I love Paul Areola, but it's Weah.
Yeah, Weah for me. I think he has to be in the contention at front three. Like I said, he can be him, Pulisic, and Reina. Once they all healthy, that would be my front three. My preference to see. Obviously, I think with Berhalter knowledge and the way he can interchange those pieces, I would like to see that front three at some point to see if he can work it. So you think Areola is the best winger right now in the MLS?
On form, yeah. Like like judging his performances. I mean, we could argue all day about just quality, but on performances right now, I don't think anybody's really close. I am still bummed that Georgie's not in this camp, just because I feel like these would have been the games that he would have played. It would not have been the Uruguay and Morocco games where he got run. Like, that still to me would have been, Weston against Uruguay and then obviously Brendan. But I would have liked to see to see Georgie in a game like this in that position in front of the two midfielders.
Yeah. I want to see what he's capable of too. I'm waiting with my hat at the door right now, just waiting to see what he's capable of. Ooh. They're looking to get another one right now. US looking to get another one.
As they should.
Okay. You think they should keep going for more?
Yes. 10 spot.
Let's drop a curacao on him, man. Let's go.
So you're not waving the white flag, huh?
Oh no! Hey. Especially when you're trying to pad those stats.
Yeah, Charlie's told you got those bonus dollars, man. You gotta get those. Yeah, you gotta get those goal bonuses.
You're
trying to get that money.
Yes, sir.
There's a bag out there.
Ariola looked like he could deserve one.
I think he got one from Dallas. That was part of the deal, right? Like, you're gonna pay $2 million allocation for me. I think I'm gonna need a new contract. That's the way it works. Boy, if you're Charlotte right now and you had the opportunity to make that trade, should have done that. Should have done it.
Mm-hmm. And Grenada is in the back six right now.
Call this formation the spice rack. Just everybody pushed into the back. So everybody lined up. Banks of 6 in the back of the cabinet, boys. Like, get back there.
I like the spice rack. I like that one.
Them bottles are empty, though. I'll tell you that.
Yes, sir. Oh my goodness.
Who has the most approved to you, Charlie, to get on a World Cup team? Like, who's on the sort of the edge that you're like, man, there's kind of falling off
on this current team right now?
I mean, I feel like George Bello on the field right now is one of those guys.
Yeah.
Like backup left back. You know, center back's a question of whether or not Chris Richards is healthy. If he is, it'll be him, it'll be Long, it'll be Zimmerman, and then I think you'll see one more.
Mm-hmm.
And then it's a competition between CCV and Eric Palmer Brown, probably. We'll ball in behind here. But Palmer Brown, I think Palmer Brown's been hurt, so that's bad timing for him.
Oof. I think Jordan Morris is there too in that conversation.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
So what you
think he's on the
your
fence?
wingers? You have so many wingers, especially when
he's on the outside.
Christian, if you're just saying, okay, you're saying Way as a winger, let's just say he's got the ability to play the 9, but it doesn't seem like that's really where Greg wants him to be. So you have Christian, you have Weah, you have Aronson. Let's say you have Gio, so now you have that's just 4, and it's Areola is probably your 5th. He can play both sides, and he has the defensive ability if you want to high press, if you want somebody to come in and just, be a complete terrible person to play against. And he has a lot of chemistry with Ferreira, which is a positive. So then you're at 5 wingers.
You can get 2 more in there. You can probably get 1 or 2 more in there at least. Even if it's at 20, if it's a 26-man spot, definitely put 1
That's why I want it to be 26. I just it's going to be so hot. It's going to be in the middle of the European season, at the end of the MLS season. Just go 26.
Mm-hmm. Do you know if they're doing a 5 sub or is it 3 subs?
I don't know that. I'm going to guess it's still 3 subs.
They got them. If they in Qatar, like you just mentioned, all the conditions and all the element, there's no way they don't move it up to 5 subs.
I personally like the 5 subs. I think it.
You do?
I do. I think it gives managers more opportunities to change games, and it gives more opportunities to players.
All
I don't
right,
think
Aronson.
I don't think it's been a negative on the game at all.
Not at all.
De La Torre had himself a
What do
game.
you see about
today.
Aronson there?
Aronson in for De La Torre.
De La Torre he's a really good player.
Yes.
Agreed. Very much so. I think right now for Michael Finley, it looks like he's bringing on the two subs he brought on there, Abraham and Brave Boy. It's like two young local kids that plays in the Grenada Soccer League, like very talented kids. So he's probably just trying to give them a game right now and give them the opportunity to play. So it's good to see him using young kids, just especially those kids going to be around because they're probably like 20, 21-year-old kids. And for them to get the experience to play against the U.S., this experience they'll never forget, especially being so young and being such influential players from Grenada who plays in like the Grenadian League.
If you're a young guy like that playing in the Grenada League, how do you get a move? Like it feels like a place feels like guys like that USL should be scouting the Caribbean in that sense, or that agents or even Michael Finley, etc., should be trying to get these guys into pro environments like that.
Yeah, I think the Caribbean should be a hot spot for young, talented, athletic players that can play, especially in the USL, given the right opportunity. It's just that they're not disciplined enough. That's probably one of the downfall of being in the Caribbean. You're not motivated. You're not determined enough to get out of there. And luckily for me, I got out at the perfect opportunity and I had people around me that was pushing me, and I understand what I wanted to be in life. But I think the Caribbean should be a hotbed for young, talented players. And then it's just a matter of if you get them young enough to mold them into what you would like them to become or the kind of players you would like to have on your team. So if you can get them young enough, I think there's talent there that you can discover.
I mean, Carlton Belmar's had a decent USL career.
Yeah. Even guys like AJ Patterson, who's the battery, he's had a good career and he's continuing to do well.
Ay.
Oh my.
Oh, that's coming up. That's good to know something exciting is coming
There
up.
you go. Pull him back, son.
Why is he going for the shot in that angle?
I don't know. Well, once he got him sliding, he just couldn't help himself. He wanted to lift it up. I didn't miss by that much.
This is coming from Charlie. Why is he going from the shot? This guy never seen a shot he didn't like.
That's a horrible angle. and he's not a goal scorer. Like he's a playmaker. He's creative. He's not a goal scorer. And those angles, they're typically not going to shoot the ball. They know that's a low percentage shot.
How do you think he's going to do in the EPL?
I think he's going to do well because the system. You have a coach who believes in you, a coach who's going to put you in a position to succeed in tactics and a style that you're familiar with. I think he does well, but I don't think it's going to happen overnight. I think there'll be an adjustment period, but I do think he'll do well.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think, Shalrie?
You think the physical play of the EPL? People,
I think that's where he has to improve, and I think he does improve from that.
I think the speed of the game, obviously, he's been playing at a high level now. The adjustment period is going to be a couple of months, but once he understands the speed of the game, I think he'll be fine. It's just my only hesitation to say he'll be great at Leeds is the physical play of the EPL. People underestimate how physical it is over there, and I think that might take a toll on him when the way they tackle, the way they impose their will on players, like especially in the midfield. But he brings a different element to the game. His movement is unbelievable. His off the ball movement. So he'll be able to create a lot more options for his players around him. But I'm curious to see how he does.
Got these goals queued up that we can show you as we wait through the hydration break right now. Can I ask you as we watch these goals, Shalrie? I said I was going to ask you at halftime, then I forgot. DeJuan Jones, you see him every single day. We've seen him in camps for the U.S. before, and Greg said, it's not quite there, basically. And he doesn't have to say it because DeJuan's not in camp, and that's sort of your dead giveaway indication when there really is an obvious like for like backup at left back outside of, as we've talked about on Extra Time, repeatedly just having Serginho Dest be that guy who flops over if Jedi's not out. But they'll play Jedi 270 minutes in the group stage if they can. What do you see from DeJuan in training, and what have you seen from him as far as his development year over year?
It's unbelievable from what I've seen him to the first practice to where he is. Just watching him this week and watching him today in practice, I think he's the best left back in the league, in the MLS right now. And that's it for me. That's saying a lot. And that he's still not even in the national team. That shows that there's just huge depth at that position. And hopefully in the next couple of months, he can make a significant jump and continue. But I just don't see him making the World Cup roster at all. But I think 2026, he'll still have a chance. And maybe even after the World Cup, a couple of friendlies, he can get called in and stuff like that. But I think he's been growing, he's been developing well, and he's understanding the position even more. Because obviously he's a right-footed player playing left back, and he's been able to make that adjustment in terms of playing on that side of the field. So I'm hoping there's a lot more good things ahead for him. But for me, he's the best left back in this MLS league, in the league. Hands down, I'd give him my vote every day. If I'm picking a team, he's going to be one of the first names on the sheet, and then I'll pick the next 10 guys.
What makes him so good in your opinion?
There's an engine his engine is probably one of the things that stands out. His ability to get forward and then recovery, but his ability to take players on, create space for himself, create good passing option, creating good crossing option, creating opportunities for players around him.
For Ferreira.
And then his ability to defend 1v1 is very good. Let me see this.
Come on, I didn't go for enough. I should have said more.
Oh. Wow. You got to tap in. That's good. Aronson set him up, huh?
That's what this game is. I think that's what this game is, right? This was the like everybody in the locker room's like, you got like LeBron at the beginning of a game. He's like, all right, we got to get these guys going. I need to get this dude going. Everybody's like, we got to get Jesus going. Like, come on now. Get him going. Find him. Give him some opportunities, because Aronson could easily shoot that. Yes. He gets a little out of pocket with that second touch. It got a little bit long on him, and then he doesn't really have a choice. But he could be looking for his shot here, and you can just tell once he has that touch that's a little long, he's going to Jesus. But that's what this game is going to. The quote unquote narrative of this game is obviously the Jesus game, but it just feels like this was built to give him some confidence.
Go on, Jesus.
And you think that's coming from the top, right? I believe that's coming not just from the players himself. And Greg probably didn't even say it, but just putting him in the starting lineup and preferring him over like the Haji that everyone wants to see. I think Greg had that intention. Like, you know what? If I can unleash him today and he can score a couple of goals and get some tap-ins, then that'll do well for his confidence going forward and making sure that his confidence grow. And then probably even the gossip or the rumors, like, is he really on number 9? Conversation like that might halt or stop or just put to the back burner now, having a 4-piece today. So it's very interesting the way Greg thinks or what he was trying to do today in my eyes.
Charlie, how much, I'm trying to figure the right way to phrase this. How much awareness of sort of the conversation around a team is there within a team? Like awareness by other players, by the squad. Everybody like within the team's like, okay, yeah, we want our 9 to score. Like Jesus is getting chances, we'd like him to score. But how much awareness is there of sort of the things swirling around not even the periphery, just the media side of it, and the fan conversation side of it, and the pressure side of it?
Oh, everyone's aware. Every single player reads media. Mm-hmm. Every single player. They might tell you they don't look at media. Every player reads media. They all are in the know of who's saying, who's playing well, who's playing bad, because at the end of the day, It's a business too. Whether you're trying to look for a club to move to, but maybe you're looking for a new contract, maybe there's uncertainties at your club. So you pay attention. And if there is a general consensus that one player is not doing it or not performing at a level that they expect them, that gets around the team. Everyone's aware of it. And in some cases, you hear players saying, hey, Jesus is balling in training. It's not showing in games, and he knows he's got to score goals, but it's going to come. We all believe in him. You hear that.
Mm-hmm.
And then you could see what it means to him. And all the guys are like, you got that monkey off your back, and you silence the haters for the moment, right? But again, it's for the moment.
Mm-hmm.
If you score 10 against Grenada tonight, it's always going to be it's against Grenada. You could score 20 against Grenada.
He's just taking those shots on you, Shalrie. He's just out here. He's just running these Spice Boys over. I just see him over and over.
Is it true though? No, is it true? Is it true? I know what he means.
Unless you get 11, you're just curse out.
No, but
that's the truth of it. That's the truth of it.
If he was doing this versus Uruguay and Morocco when he had the chance, then that's a different conversation, and that's just the reality of the situation.
Mm-hmm.
How do you think this changes Jesus's mindset?
You relax a little bit in front of goal, and it makes a big difference when you can slow down your actions. We talked about that first chance he had in the first half with his left foot. He's reaching for the ball because he's rushing, because he feels the pressure. When you don't feel that pressure, you don't reach, you don't rush. You take a second, you compose yourself. You can take a deep breath before you finish. You're looking at the keeper before you hit the ball. You saw that on his third goal. He's taking looks back, up and down, and he knows exactly where the keeper is. And he knows where he has to put the ball. When you're rushing, you're just running at the ball, and you're just swinging your foot. So I think there's just a moment of hesitation before you hit the ball that you know you're in control.
Doesn't feel like this has been the best showing that Malik Tillman could have. Just seems a little bit, we talk about sort of the effortless nature. Just looks a little bit slow and a little bit lost in decision making sometimes.
Yeah, I think it'll take some time for him to.
I agree.
Get used to everything. That the speed of play with this group in particular, their tendencies, CONCACAF, it's all new. So
he's sucking on the fire hose. Yeah, no,
I'm not worried.
No, he's at what? He's 19, something like that. He's just
what's that saying? Sucking on the flower?
Fire hose.
Oh, okay.
What does that mean?
Basically, there's too much information. There's no way you can take it all without choking. Essentially, like it's just impossible to have that much. I'm not the best at phrases. I butcher, man. So that could be wrong. We'll let the commenters let us know if I was wrong about that. I'm sure they'll get at me quick. If Doyle was here or Dave, they'd be like, "Oh, hold on, man. That is not what it is."
What's the fruit of choice in Grenada? What's the fruit of choice?
Say it again.
The fruit. What's the fruit of choice in Grenada?
Oh, oil dung, man.
Huh?
Oil dung. The food, oil dung, it's a national dish. It takes a minute to make, but if you can make it and it's delicious,
Oiland?
You can't go wrong.
What is it?
Oil, OIL. It's like provision, like flour kneaded and make the dumpling. And then you can do it with saltfish. You can do it with chicken.
Oh, so it's like a meat patty in a way? Choices. Like a Jamaican meat patty?
It's like meat. It's like meat and dumplings. It's like chicken and dumplings in a sauce.
So
we call it like a spicy curry sauce, probably.
So a Caribbean gyoza is what you're going with.
No.
No, that's provision. There's breadfruit. Like if you had breadfruit, I know you've never had roasted breadfruit.
No, I can't say I had roasted breadfruit.
Confirmed by the comment section. Drinking from the fire hose is absolutely a real thing.
Really?
I've heard of it. I've heard of it.
Yeah.
I just never heard of fire fruit.
Caribbean gyoza.
I'm going to take you to the food truck when the summer comes around.
Gyoza is dumpling. Same thing. You said dumpling.
Not that kind of dumpling. You know, like chicken and dumplings, like almost like it's like
You need
Like
it.
a-
to
almost
roll
like
it.
almost
pot
like
pie?
almost like a gnocchi. Like
Okay.
Yeah.
almost like a gnocchi. It's like basically flour in a like a little flour thing
Yeah.
that you cook
rolled,
up. It gets soft. It's almost like a
Yeah.
thicker. It's like a thicker, solid noodle almost.
Oh, yeah,
Yes.
yeah.
That's a good description. You been to the Caribbean? Any part of the Caribbean?
I don't. No, I haven't.
Shit,
I've been
you're
to
missing out.
most countries in Central America, but we need to go on the Shalrie Joseph guided tour is what we need to do. Just take us around,
Yeah.
Shalrie. Let's go. Let's spend like a
Right.
week.
Is there
We
a
know
direct
those-
flight out of Boston?
Yeah, a good
Okay.
4 hours. It's pretty short. It's not bad at all. 4 hour flight, you're there, and then you just got to make sure you take a couple of days off when you come back. So
Watch out. Sometimes those bad habits be creeping back in.
Them red stripes.
you
You gotta take a couple days.
start hitting you go from Antigua to Grenada, maybe hit TNT on the way out, and watch out.
Yeah, and then hit Jamaica. You got to hit Jamaica too for a little
That's
bit.
true. That's true.
So who you think will be the starting goalkeeper? I know we talked about all different positions. Who you guys think will be on the big given day of rolling the team?
Is that
out,
the first
rolling
shot?
Did they get one?
Yeah.
That was for the stat.
Ooh.
From midfield, got to get it in. Got to
Hey,
get it
yeah,
on.
That's for the stat. You got to do it. Protect
Michael
at all
Finley's out there. He's
costs.
like, guys, we just pulled the trigger. We need to get one. Kill the goose egg.
On a 3v1. They got like a 3v1 and 3v2. And he took a shot.
It says it's technically their third shot.
Oh,
Starting goalkeeper, I say
yeah.
if Zach Steffen gets his loan, he will be the starting goalkeeper.
Is he going to? Is that what you feel is going to happen? You feel he's going to get loaned out?
Yes, that's what I feel. Because I know he's talked about it before. He signed another extension with Manchester City, so he's not in danger of losing that. He can afford to take a loan.
Yeah,
especially before World Cup. So
he's got his money on that side. He's got his security, and if he comes back to Man City, I mean, when he comes back, honestly, what's the difference in hierarchy? Like, he's currently the backup. He's going to get some games in cup competitions, but he's not going to play in the league unless something happens to Ederson. So, yeah, I mean, at this point, you got to prioritize. You'd think you got to prioritize that World Cup spot. You only get so many opportunities. As a goalkeeper, too, you could be setting yourself up for 2026 as well.
True. But think about it that way. Both goalkeepers, between Turner and him, they're both backups right now. So they won't be playing unless he get the loan, like Chuck mentioned. They're both not starting goalkeepers for their club. So who would be match fit? Who would be game ready on the given day? Like, who would you go to?
I personally right now would go to Turner. I just think the body of work in competitive games for the U.S. for Turner has been better over the last year and a half or so. And I think he's less likely to make a big mistake, but it's just not a great spot to be to have both your goalkeepers in positions where they're not a starter.
Yeah.
Not ideal. Could be better.
True.
But I would not have said no to Arsenal either.
No chance. You don't say no to Arsenal.
You got to be crazy. Come from Fairfield, Connecticut.
What if you're Gaga Slonina? You have Madrid, Chelsea, Juve. Where are you going? Are you going to Madrid just because they're Madrid, even though you may be fourth choice?
Slonina feels a little different to me because Slonina can make that move. It's a little bit like Steffen in the sense that he can get sort of the security and the profile of the move, but then part of it is that he can just get loaned back. Like he could be a Real Madrid player and have 2 years in Chicago to be the starter where he's already the starter and then make the move.
Mm-hmm.
True.
You know, just getting signed by Madrid, even if you never get an opportunity, 99.9% of players don't ever get the opportunity. But even just to be signed, that gives you one huge step closer to one day perhaps having that opportunity. So if it comes, and if it comes, and as it's sort of reported, the deal is that he's just going to get loaned back for a year and a half, then that's what you do. All right, we got final whistle, 5-0, U.S. Grenada. There's the final result. All right, let's jump into our takeaways for U.S. Grenada CONCACAF Nations League. 5-0 win for the U.S. Put the nickel on them. It's half of what Curacao did, Shalrie, but we don't have to mention that anymore. That's the last mention, all right? I won't say it any more times. But this was a big game for the U.S. We got a question off Twitch here about who the man of the match is, and I think that's pretty clear. It's got to be Jesus Ferreira in this sense. Yeah. Did we like how Luca de la Torre played? Sure, we did. Did Luca de la Torre score 4 goals, and was all the pressure on him? Absolutely not, Charlie. It was on Jesus Ferreira, and the pressure got heavier in the first half because it took it took 43 minutes to get the first one. He had opportunities. Once he put one away, the floodgates opened. What did you think of Jesus Ferreira's performance in this match? What stood out to you?
He finished. I mean, 4 goals is impressive, and he could have had 6. He could have had 6 goals tonight. So 4 is one of those just confidence boosters for Jesus Ferreira, which he needs. You know, but Haji Wright gets an opportunity now in the next game against El Salvador on the road. And let's say he has a big performance and scores 2 or 3 goals against El Salvador, a better opponent in that country. You know, I just don't think Jesus Ferreira did anything to literally solidify himself in that position. So it's great that he scored 4 goals. It's good for him. But it's Grenada, and no disrespect to Grenada, it's just it doesn't really move the needle. It's almost you're doing what you're expected to do in this scenario.
I don't think it's disrespectful to Grenada to say that this is not the same quality of opponent that you're thinking about for the World Cup. And like it or not, despite this being Nations League, and yes, it is a competition the U.S. want to win again, everything is going toward Qatar. That's what it's about. The decisions that Greg makes, the evaluation that Greg makes, it's on this game, sure, but it's on who can help him against Wales, Iran, and England. Dig into that performance a little bit from Jesus Shalrie. The goals he scored, the movement that he had. What did he show you in this match? And maybe is there anything he didn't show you?
I liked it. I think scoring 4 goals, no matter what your opponent is or who your opponent is, it shows that you're a good finisher. It shows a bit of class. So having 4 for Jesus, that shows that even though he's been under a lot of pressure, it shows that he came out and played. And the things that separated him was his off-the-ball movement. Like Chuck mentioned, that he played on the back line a lot more than I've usually seen him when watching the game a little bit more. He was making runs. He was threatening the back line. He was making sure that the space between the lines was good for his midfielders. And then just putting himself in good position to score. For me, it came a little bit late in the first half. I would have liked to see him score the couple of opportunities he had before that. But at the end of the day, you score 4 goals. It shows that you're able to put the ball in the back of the net. So good work for him. I hope that he continues to do well. And for me, for the U.S. to go far, they got to develop a 9. For the U.S. to go anywhere beyond the group stage, they must have a 9, not just a link-up play, but they must have a 9 that when the game is tight, that you're able to score a goal. And if he's the one they can depend on in those crucial moments, then today he kind of give Greg. He showed that Greg was knowing what he was doing when he put him into the starting lineup and give him another opportunity. Even though it was against Grenada, it showed that Greg had a lot of confidence in him, and he paid off that confidence by his coach by scoring 4 goals. But now he's got to make sure that when he gets an opportunity again, that he's not just scoring goals, but he's creating more chances for the players around him, whether it be his off-the-ball movement or a simple combination play. But he's got to make it tough for the players. He's got to make it tough for Greg to pick anybody else but him. And I think that's the only spot right now on that team that has the most question mark. who's going to be the 9, who is the one we can count on to score a goal in crucial moments. So congrats to Jesus and the U.S. team, but it was a good performance from him.
I don't think you're going to see, and we know that Jesus is not, as you sort of said earlier when we were talking through the game, Charlie, like he's not going to go beast mode. He's not going to be a physical presence. He's not going to be a guy who dominates and posts people up and sort of puts the fear of God into people with his ability to be intimidating or dominating physically. It's more about the mental movement, technical side of the game, right? So when he has those opportunities to excel in those moments, he has to excel. Getting that first touch right in the first half, when he's got the header with his feet on the ground, finding a way to put it on frame. There were moments where he didn't show it. But you have to be encouraged by the moments where he does open up space for his teammates. And there was less of that in this game because I just don't think in Wiebe and Pulisic you have more sort of goal dangerous, direct to goal. Hey, I want to play off you, get in behind you, combine, go to goal sort of wingers. And I think Areola or Mora showed in this game. But I thought just his sort of like ability to sniff out space, position his body, understand where the service was going to come from, be prepared for it. It didn't always come off. But I thought the first goal at the left foot was nice. The right-footed finish and the run-in behind on the second was really good. And then the final two were sort of cleanups. Like you're not going to get that sort of space in a World Cup on a set-piece corner kick.
Nope.
Standing on top of the box. It's just not going to happen. Like that's not a realistic scenario to score a goal. So I thought in particular the goal that if you're looking at, you're saying you're especially happy about, it's the second one, the way he moves to get on the end of it, and then the right-footed finish. So yeah, I mean Haji Wright will get his opportunity against El Salvador. What can Haji do, Charlie? What's on his plate now?
Well, one, he has to score goals, just like Jesus Ferreira does, but you're going to see an idea of how he holds up the ball. You can play it to his chest, to his head, knocking it down for runners. I'd like to see him run into the channels. We're going to have to see him stretch the back line just like Jesus Ferreira did tonight. But can he also get down the line and cross balls in for, let's say, a Christian Pulisic or a Weston McKennie making a late run, or Anthony Robinson who's, crashing the back post sometimes because he gets so high. Those are areas of the game for a striker where you can really hurt an opponent if your striker can also do a number of those other things. So against El Salvador, who are going to be much better technically and tactically, it'll be a good test for him. It's a strong CONCACAF opponent. It's not an easy one, that's for sure. And so if he can produce there on the road, I think that will really give Greg some more confidence in Haji and to be able to follow him for the next 6 months.
Let's take a look at the midfield. Shalrie, as we sort of break down this 5-0 win for the U.S. in their opener in the CONCACAF Nations League. Now on 3 points, El Salvador atop the Group D in the A-League part of CONCACAF Nations League. I mean, Grenada just being in this A-League, that's a huge accomplishment for them. 3 games played so far now, just 1 point. They got the 2-2 draw against Al. Yeah, give that pat on the back, man. Spice Boys are here. They are rising up, graduating to A-League and CONCACAF Nations League. El Salvador on top right now, 2 games played, a draw and a win against Grenada. What did you see from Luca De La Torre in this game? A lot of people really impressed by him. Some rumors about a possible move for him this summer in the Eredivisie, maybe to a Twente or maybe a different team will higher up the table. His ability with the ball at his feet driving forward is what makes him special. What'd you see from him?
Yeah, I mean, you just said it right there. His ability to move with the ball and create space. And then the simple thing as passing on the move, people take it for granted, but he's able to do that and it's flawless when he does that. You just be able to find passes that no one else can see, especially from that position. He was a little bit deeper to start off with the double pivot, but his ability on the ball is questionably by far one of the things that really stand out tonight. He connects passes, he makes those through balls, he threads the needle, and then he's able to create separation with the dribble when defenders get close to him. So it'll be interesting to see if he can knock on the door, if he can make it a competition in the midfield for one of those spots. Because I think he's one of those guys that, in my eyes, he might be on the bubble too, if he's going to be in that roster. So great performance by him. Hopefully we can see more from him again and just turn it into a competition. I think the more competition there is in the middle of the park, the better those 4 or 5 guys will be, especially when they're playing tougher competition. And that's the one thing I want to see when you're playing tougher midfielders with like Calvin Smith, Calvin Phillips, and Mason Mount, those guys from England. Can he step in there and make a difference in the last 20, 30 minutes if he's given the opportunity to be on the roster?
I feel like he's a lock on the roster.
Yeah.
Charlie, he's worked his way into that. I feel like he is, because I just don't think that there's an option in the midfield that has sort of the like for Musa if something happens there, or has the ability that he does. What do you think his role is in the World Cup, Charlie, if he's there? And I don't know. I'm not here saying I think. But let's say he's there. What's his role ideally in Qatar?
Super sub for midfield, given that we need a player who can create and a player who's, when we're going to have more possession than the other team, that's you'd want him on the pitch.
I love the little shoulder drops, and you see it from him both in midfield, but I also see it from him when he picks up the ball in the 18, especially when he's sort of on that end line. He's just able to sort of wiggle his way into positions that other players don't seem to be able to find, and still waiting for a little final product there. Before we let it go, though, any final thoughts? Shalrie, your Spice Boys, they were on the brink of something, man. 45 minutes, they were on the brink.
Yeah, yeah. Obviously, I think it's just a wonderful opportunity to play America. It's something you're going to tell the kids you saw, you watch, and for the players who had the opportunity to play in, the first thing they're going to do is when they get back to their loved ones and significant others, that'll be something they'll be talking about. Whether or not they won by 4 or lost by 5 or lost whatever the scoreline was, just having the opportunity is the thing that we're going to take away as a Grenadian born player. I think that's the one thing everyone in the island going to be talking about is playing America, even though we got a tail wax, but they'll be just happy to just talk about playing against America.
It's been a good Friday night, man. Good Friday night. Little breeze blowing in off the sea.
Well, I just needed a red stripe. If I didn't have to work in the morning, I would have had a red stripe.
Just watching the boys do their best. Charlie, any final thoughts? Anything that we haven't hit here that you think is important to say about this performance from the U.S. 5-0 win to start off Nations League?
No, but I give a good reception to the islands for everything that they've done. The first half, they were resilient, resolute, but you don't know in the second half they fell apart. And for me, it's all about just continuing to progress the game. So right on, man.
Right on.
Man, I'll shout out Paul Areola as well from this match as a guy who stood out, who had some really good moments. And we knew he had chemistry with Jesus Ferreira. We knew that from previous USMNT friendlies, and they've combined and played really well together. And obviously that's been the case with FC Dallas. So Paul Areola, a nice match from him, got a goal as well. So congratulations to him. Thought Cameron Carter-Vickers did fine, but it's not a huge test. I would love to see him again against El Salvador, especially if Eric Palmer-Brown is not able to go for health reasons. It seems like that's what held him out of this game. So I'd like to see Cameron Carter-Vickers against a more difficult opponent that's going to put the U.S. under a little bit more pressure. But outside of that, I think that's a pretty good wrap. Well, Kellen Acosta, we didn't mention Kellen Acosta in the post-game show. In the first half and throughout the game, I thought he really sort of orchestrated things.
He's a lock.
Yeah, dictated from that deep lying position. Yeah. His passing ability is his versatility, but in this game, with not much pressure on him, his passing ability really stood out. So, nice game from Kellen. And I just got to say it, Jesus Ferreira now 7 goals, 4 assists in about 600 U.S. minutes. 3 goals coming in this game, 4 goals, excuse me, a huge game for him against Grenada to build up some confidence. We'll remember the Jesus Ferreira game, but that's it for us. We will, of course, be back for a watch-along against El Salvador on Tuesday. And we'll be here for the second Nations League game for Canada as well. Thanks for listening, watching, hanging out with us tonight, everybody. Shalrie, it's been a pleasure, man. Charlie.
Thanks, Andrew.
A couple times I thought about trying to bust out a Caribbean accent, but I was like, I'll just let Charlie handle this business. He's feeling it. Good to hang out with both of you. Have a good night, everybody. We'll see you on the other side.
Pleasure, my friend.
Pleasure.